Francis Dhun, uncensored.
That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. We are back at it once again with another quality project here for you guys that will be launching on the Virtuals Protocol Genesis launch. Virgin Points Pledges begins tomorrow and the ticker is OOPZ, OOPZ, or Oracle of Preferences ZK. The entire team is doxed, they have an MVP ready, and they sold their previous Web3 company to the behemoth Anamoka brands, demonstrating that they are capable of building and also shipping. So guys, please welcome Jason, Frankie, and Tamir. Thank you guys so much.
What's up, Francis?
Yeah, what's up,
Thanks,
guys?
man.
What's up? Thank you so much for joining the program under such short notice. For everybody who's wondering where is the third guest, we will just bring him up over here. Frankie does have his full screen over here, guys. Okay, thank you, Frankie. So Jason is the COO, and we do have Tamir as well, who is the CEO, and Frankie is the CTO. The entire team is docs, like everything here, like what I like, all the boxes are checked. You guys got your MVP. We're going to dive into all of these things. But perhaps Tamir, maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself. And then Jason and perhaps even Frankie, and that'll be great to start it off.
Yeah, man. Well, first, honestly, I just want to thank you so much for having us on. We're huge fans. We appreciate you kind of, finding us and some of the things you've been saying. Really, really appreciate it and you taking the time. My name is Tamir. I'm originally from the U.S. I've been in Hong Kong for about, I'd say, 10 years now. Kind of like the very boring Hong Kong story for a lot of people here. I came about 10 years ago, started doing financial consulting for banks, asset management firms from Europe, the US, to basically help them with their Asia business. After that, I did some financial regulation, and then I got into the crypto scene. I was working for a VC fund back in 2018. It was a little bit famous then. It was a little bit low-key now. It's called Kinetic Capital. That's really where I kind of got very interested in the space. The market kind of exploded in 2019, and then I took a little bit of break from Web3. I went to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, where I did data strategy. I did that for about 2 years. I helped set up their data lake. I was kind of doing a lot of the onboarding and teaching people how to use like data to make better decisions. But I have this joke that I always say, like crypto, blockchain, Web3, it's like an ex-girlfriend. Like you can break up, but you're always like, fuck, I miss her so much. So to be honest, that's kind of what happened, man. Like I spent all my time basically trying to like convince senior management to do things in crypto and blockchain, and then to various levels of success. But I kind of missed like really doing something, and then I helped to kind of found Dotted, where I led growth, and then I got to meet these amazing guys, and we did a great run. We scaled the company, a couple 100,000 users. I can talk a little bit more Dotted in a second, but it's just been kind of a dream, and I got to meet some of the best friends, builders, guys who go to the trenches with me now. So yeah.
Amazing. Jason, do you want to go next?
Oof, that's a tough one to follow. But, Francis, again, thank you so much for having us on your show. So I'm Jay, originally from Montreal. Like Tamir, I'm from North America. Got into crypto early 2015, 2016. Randomly, I was working for an AR, VR company. A lot of the devs there were talking about BTC, about mining, and we looked into it. And then little thing about Montreal, some apartments, electricity is included in the rent. So we came up with this idea, hey, why don't we ship ASIC miners and run that, right? And that took off. And then I got addicted. Like Tamir said, it's like the toxic ex-girlfriend, right? Yeah. And at the time, my family was pushing me to go to Hong Kong. I wasn't sure about it, but stuff was popping off in Hong Kong compared to Canada. If you guys know, well, Francis, the startup scene is a little bit iffy in Canada. Yeah. Government funding is just tough, right? Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm 28, 29. It's now or never. So I took the leap, went to Hong Kong, and then joined up with a family office called Black Pine. And from there, they were doing crypto investments. And like Tamir said, I got the chance to meet Frankie and Tamir at Dotted. And we just took it from there. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Dotted afterwards. But effectively, that journey has led us to where we are today, right? So before that, before all BTC and all that, I was into BD. I had my own business. I was into F&B, building that out, scaling the biggest food festival in Canada. It's still running today, but that just doesn't compare to crypto. It's just so quick, so explosive. You can't go back. You know what I mean, right? So it's just natural attraction. So I mean, I'm a big believer in fate and everything. Everything has a purpose, and I'm just blessed to have met these guys and to be able to build what we're building now.
Yeah, yeah, no, interesting. It's very cool when you can meet people who are like-minded, right, in that same niche. Instead of having, like, at least for me, having friends, right, and you have to try to explain to them what this thing's about, and they're not genuinely as excited as you. So when you meet somebody who's just like yourself in that profession, it's always a blessing. Let's bring up Frankie next here. Frankie, you want to give us a bit of insights to your background? You got started?
Yeah, yeah. Once again, like thank you, Francis, for the invitation. So my name's Frankie. So I'm based in Hong Kong and working for over like 20 years within financial institution, including billion-dollar hedge funds, and help them to deploy trading system, including like risk management system and data analytics system. So Dotted was the first company like I joined in the crypto and blockchain space, and throughout those years, so I had get quite a lot of like deep understanding on like how blockchain and the ecosystem works. And right now, besides like the dev time, mostly I also actively participate in lots of like on-chain protocols, especially on base chain. There are lots of like quite genuine protocols out there, and I love studying like how this protocol works and how their tokenomics, and especially something like to align like every participant incentive to make like everyone happy or like equally. Then so this is like some starting point. So and then later on I discussed with like Jason and Tamir and like whether we can like start building something to address. I know like they always like dealing with different like clients, and they understand the clients like pain points, and then we start all this like discussion about like how we can utilize like the blockchain and tokenomics to make it work, and this is like how we begin.
Nice one, Frankie. Thank you, bro. I loved it in Hong Kong. I was there last year twice in 3 weeks, bro, and I wanted to go back for the third time in the same month. Not what I expected. Massive business hub, all kinds of networking and investment funds and tech now and all these things. So that's definitely the place to be to operate from. So you guys are definitely doing things right. Now let's talk about your previous Web3 company, Dotted, that you sold to Anamoka Brands, who just coming out here and just buying out everything. How did that, they're a behemoth in the space, but how did you guys go about doing that? Did you contact them? Did they contact you? Did they have interest in Dotted, or did you try to pitch to them? How did all of that, break that down for us, please, Tamir.
Yeah, sure. So Dotted was originally incubated out of a family office, so that's how Jay and I got connected with everything. And really, the ethos of Dotted was to be like, at the time, Web3 was really oriented towards like laptops, computers, right? Everything had to be really stationary back in 2022, 2021, right? Everything was still not really mobile oriented, right? And we saw specifically in like Southeast Asia and everything else, it wasn't that friendly. So it was really an infrastructure company to enable Web2 users and businesses to manage their digital assets in one place, right? And the way we like to say is like, we wanted to make Web3 accessible, right? I know that's a little bit cliche to say, but we're nerds, and that's actually what we really wanted to do. We really wanted to make it, accessible for everyone. And we scaled the company quite large. Like we had like 250,000 users. We got quite active. Our platform featured like a lot of things that were quite new. So we did like gasless NFT minting, a social feed, wall-to-wall messaging, in-app trading, AI generated mints. Like all this was done within the app, and it was really, really simple. I think that was the main thing. And that's how we were able to like get a lot of Web2 companies to use us to basically help them like enter the space, do Web3 things, right? So, we worked with, Hong Kong Central Bank, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. We worked with Asia's largest music festival to do stuff. For people like that know stuff in the UK, we worked with Bupa to do things. We worked with Hong Kong's largest museum for their 25th anniversary. The thing actually we're most proud of is like we did this thing basically to really get Web3 use in the city. So we did this campaign with about 20 plus businesses, and we embedded coupons into NFTs, and then we integrated with like POS systems, so basically payment systems within like across the city, so people could mint NFTs, create some artwork, and then go to like a hotel or go to a coffee shop and then show their artwork and then basically get a free coffee. So that's really the tech that we had behind it. Like we scaled it to be quite easy, quite painless, and we integrated it into a lot of like business communities. So to answer, like that's really the background of Audit, right? So to answer really your question of like, okay, how did that go about, right? So Anamoka Brands actually, in our initial part, it actually bought 10% of the company. So it actually filled up the entire round of our seed fund, our seed round. So they just liked us and they were like, you know what, 100% use us. So we're like, okay, cool. And then over time, as we start to scale and get more users, the company liked our tech, and the team was basically fully absorbed within Anamoka Brands. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of high level how it is. It sounds really nice and everything else. Jay will tell you we've got a lot of white hairs
So
in the process of
I could
scaling.
imagine, dude.
Yeah.
Build. So when you try to explain building to say people in Web 2, right? Oh, they're talking about their website. Like my buddy owns this like meal prep company, and I also have some experience in building, and I'm trying to explain to him how fintech works in a decentralized way too. When they're trying to build a decentralized application, that alone they can't wrap their heads around, right? Non-custodial, what do you mean, right? So I mean, like, it's very hard to explain to people, but building in Web 3 is totally different to Web 2. It's way more intricate. By the way, Frankie, have you ever heard of a fund called Water Drip Capital in Hong Kong? I don't know if you heard of them. Water Drip. They're not too known, but they're up there. They're more like on the Bitcoin side of things, but yeah, they're good friends of mine as well. So yeah, no, but how did that go down though, Tamir? So did Anamoka approach you guys, or you guys were able to?
Yes. Yeah, so I think over time, like I can't go too deep into it because we did some NDAs, but basically,
Sure.
like as we started to scale, right? Like as the business kind of grew, there was they basically saw that one of their companies could it's the nicest way to put it could use some help. Let's just say could use some
Right.
help. So they decided that they saw that one of the things you mentioned earlier, I think, is kind of the main pain point that a lot of like builders have in the industry. And this is no shade on anyone, right? This is no shade on anyone, right? But I think what our sweet spot was basically understanding and building for corporates, like big clients, right? And Anamoka Brand's big ethos is how do we get the masses into Web3, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
for
that's true.
us, like building the tech in a way that, I mean, one of the I guess it's kind of lame to say, but one of the things I'm really proud of is like, we worked with Bupa. We did this like event activation, and we built this like kind of CRM using NFTs and stuff like that. And it was kind of a public event. So this like 65, 70-year-old like Hong Kong grandpa came up like, and he was like, how do I do this? I've never done anything Web3. This is kind of cool, but I want to do it. And we just sat with him, right? We just sat with him for like 10 minutes, like just explaining like, okay, what is the QR code? Okay, scan this QR
Yeah.
code, right? Like this is
Yeah.
what you need to do, right? Oh, do I email? Like, oh, okay, which email is it going to? It's like, what's the email that you gave it? Okay, this is how you access your email. And then you went through it and pressed it, right? But
Yeah.
like, the reason why I bring that up is like, we can dismiss it and be like, oh, this is the boomer and everything else, right? But like tech should be for everyone, right?
Mhm.
And I think for us, like the fact that we can make tech really simple, intuitive, easy to use, and honestly, that guy became a DJ. He kept like, he's like, I
Did
want to
he, eh?
show my family. So, yeah, so we had this thing where we could like share your NFT directly in WhatsApp with everything. So he was like, oh, I'm sending it. He was showing me, he's like, I'm sending it to my kid. I'm sending it to my grandkid. I'm sending
Yeah.
it to my friends. I'm gonna show them that Web3
So
oriented.
you're
And I
responsible
think
for
for
onboarding baby boomers to crypto, to Web3 pretty much.
Oh, I was responsible. Everyone in between. We did stuff with like, we also partnered with like schools to do fundraising. So like for us, like it's everyone in the space, like been in the space for a while, and I realized like this sounds not genuine, but like genuinely for us, like we do this, we care, like we're nerds. Like I don't know the nicest way to say it. Like we really believe in Web3. So if that's what you think and that's what you believe and that's what you're building for, then baby boomers, high school kids, middle-aged people, You know, like you mentioned earlier, you were telling your friends, like I have so many friends that as soon as I talk about crypto, their eyes glaze and they're like,
Yeah,
Tamir, please stop. And I'm like,
yeah,
trust me,
yeah.
it's really good for you. Get some Bitcoin. So
They're so
I think
used
that's
to
really how.
centralize. Yeah, they're so used to centralized accounts, right? So the notion of decentralized or non-custodial, it takes them some time to really wrap their brains around that. But that's good stuff, guys. That's great about Dotted, and congratulations on great work and selling that off to Anamoka Brands. But let's talk about Oops exactly, like what exactly it is. But more importantly, let's try to make it as simple as possible for the everyday person to understand. So if you could explain Oops in the most simplest way possible, that'd be great. Anybody?
Yeah. Yeah,
Tamir?
I'll go, Jay, then you can correct me. Yeah. And then I promise I'll stop talking, Jay. You can jump in.
No, Tamir, you could go ahead.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess look, really, really simply, right, is Oops helps you earn and monetize your data, right? And we use AI to monetize that data more efficiently, and we use that monetized data to help people make better decisions, right? So that's a lot like okay, so
Mhm.
make money from your data, earn from your data. So okay, what does that actually mean, right? Like everyone knows this, right? Like the biggest companies, Meta, Google, Amazon, you know, Alibaba, doesn't matter where you are, they're all profiting from your data, right? And the whole ethos of Web3 is owning your data. So what we're trying to build is a way for the average person, right? Instead of LinkedIn, instead of Instagram, everyone profiting off it. Like shit, it's my data. How do I earn from it, right? And we do that by using surveys, by creating an AI agent replica of you to basically earn money for you, right? And that's what we really believe is the future of blockchain, right? That's the future of Web3. That's what it's all really about. Web3 is supposed to be about you owning your data. And shit, if someone's going to get your data, get paid for it. And that's what we want to do. We want to make things more fair. We want to make things more equal. We want to make sure that everyone earns from their information.
Nice one, nice one. So how would that
Yeah, sorry,
look
it's
like?
very,
No.
sorry
I
if I'm not
understand
like
it because
answering
that
a lot.
is a big problem. No, that's a huge problem. Data privacy, that's a huge problem in today's world. You know, these conglomerates are just like hoarding it. It's theirs, and we're pretty much left out in the dark. They're not getting anything from it. So I guess you know the users are the customers, so to speak, right? It's free, but the users are the customers because you're giving up your data, which is how they're making their money. And if you guys could actually solve that in a decentralized way, particularly, I think that will be you know that makes sense to me. So I believe you mentioned something about duplicates or replicates, like AI agents that represents the user. What does that really mean as well? If we could dive deeper into that.
Yeah,
Hey,
maybe
Jay,
I
why don't
can
you take
jump
this
into
one?
this
Yeah,
one.
Jason, go ahead.
Yeah.
Uh, Absolutely. So, when we first started this journey, we weren't really sure what we would be getting into. So we dove into market research, and when we were exploring that vertical, we realized a lot of pain points. Mostly that individuals were answering the same question multiple times. Everything was siloed, and ultimately the payout would the incentive wasn't in alignment, right? A lot of times payments or people answering these surveys would be questionable, right? Again, don't want to throw any shade. What we wanted to do was essentially create an infrastructure where respondents can actually scale everything out, right? So you'd be surprised by how many corporates are actually asking the same question, right? So when we dove into this and when AI first blew up, we took a look at a couple research papers, I think from Stanford and Harvard as well, that looked into creating digital twins of people. And then we were doing this market research. We were like, hey, what if we could replicate individuals and be able to, as close as possible, let's say 90%, be able to predict a certain answer? Because a lot of our clients were like, hey, how long is this survey going to take? When can we get the data? And we'd be like, listen, it's going to take at least 24 hours if we can express it. Of course, the price goes up, but ballpark 48 hours. And a lot of them were pushing back to, hey, 48 hours, like, I want the answer now, right? So then it's more credits to Frankie. He looked into how we can train AI models to replicate humans. And then from there, we were looking at nodes. We're like, this makes total sense. Why would we not create a digital twin that can allow individuals to perpetually earn, especially if questions are very similar, right? So, as what Tamir said before, the alignment from corporate and respondent, why don't we give the bulk of the rewards back to the individual? If the corporate wants a macro overview, they can do so, close to 90% accuracy. If they really want to deep dive into it, they can message the individual directly, which again solves their pain point. It addresses the need for insights quickly. But if they really wanted to deep dive into it, they're able to do so. And why this is important in an increasingly global world, competition is just mounting, right? Which means that in order to stand out, in order to get the best bang for your buck, you really need to understand your customer. If you don't understand your customer, it's like not having product market fit. You're poking in the dark, right? Plenty of examples. Uber coming into Southeast Asia got completely destroyed because they didn't look into the market properly. So increasing, we're like, hey, companies are going to be putting in money to first find out insights before deploying large capital, because going into a new market is very, very expensive, right? You're talking about setting up new companies, you're talking about laws, lawyers, setting up infrastructure. You don't really want to make a multi-million-dollar bet on a gut feeling. So that's why we came up with, hey, if corporates really want to get instant insights and they're okay with, let's say, 90 to 95% accuracy, go with that. If they really want to pinpoint and be 100% certain, they can reach out to the individual as well. But it solves the pain point where they need the insights quick and fast. And on top of that, we're able to deliver it in a much cheaper fashion, much cheaper way.
Nice one, nice one. Like you guys said, you guys are nerds, right? And this sounds nice and nerdy and all that. You know your shit. But what I want to ask you guys is, why would the average investor care about something like this? Or why would they want to invest into something like this? Or why is it valuable for the everyday investor who isn't, technically inclined about how all of this data protection works? But why should someone be bullish on the notion of this? Not necessarily, the Genesis launch, which we'll get to after, but the actual privacy being protected through your means. Anybody could answer that.
Maybe I'll take a stab at this, and Tamir can jump in, or Frankie can jump in after. So I'm going to ride on what Tamir was saying before. Fortune 500s are already making money off of your data, right? You're getting nothing from that. They're taking your data. Previously, they were using it to look at what products to launch out, selling it, monetizing it. Increasingly, these companies are actually taking your data and training AI with it. And you're seeing no upside from that. What we want to do, and this is the ethos of Web3, is essentially decentralizing it, taking out the central parties and giving it back to the individual, right? Corporates are deploying these surveys no matter what. They're scraping your data no matter what. Why not equal the playing field and provide incentive for investors? Because at the end of the day, like you mentioned, Francis, the person responding is the product. It's not fair that you don't share the upside. Like, these companies are massive. Without data, Google would not be where it's at today. Guarantee you Facebook would not be where it's at today. What did the average Facebook user get from that? Nothing. All they got was even more ads, right? So why investors should be bullish is because with this disruption, it's going to shift the entire dynamic. And it's super nerdy, but for us, it's the market research side of things. So due to those reasons, I believe that investors, I can get into the more degen prediction marketplace, but I'll let Tamir jump in before I go into a stretch over there.
Yeah, I think so maybe just keeping it like super simple, right? Why should you care, right? Why should you care about a product like us? Why should you care about a project like us, right? This industry is a like $11 billion industry, right? It's projected to grow 12% on average to be like a $30-40 billion industry in 2040, right? So it's growing, right? If you can participate in it, why not, right? For those who participate, right, one of the things that we're doing is we're able to pay you for your information or your data and the surveys you fill out in a much faster, cheaper, and more efficient way than any other project out there, right? The thing is, crypto solves, like, a lot of companies, they might do something in crypto because they think, oh, it's kind of like a, no shade on anyone, by the way. Like, people might do something in crypto because they're like, oh, okay, it's a novel idea, I want to replicate it in Web3 and blah, blah, blah. Like, for us, like, that's not how we got to this point. We built a business previously that we didn't own, but we built a business that, did market research and everything else. And we saw that, companies don't pay that much money, right? They pay them at a really delayed rate. They have to go through all these things. So by simply using crypto, by using stablecoin payments, we're going to pay people a lot more than what they would earn on the other things, right? The other side of it is by creating this AI agent, by creating your digital twin, right? I'm basically saying to you, I can have you have this node that gives you money for the rest of your life, right? You just participate in our thing, your agent becomes sentient, you're gonna earn revenue from that for the rest of your life. And InfoFi, right, is it's a shorthand for a lot of things, right? But I think people can think of it, I think the easiest way to think of it is like GameFi, right? For those people that don't know it, right? Like, GameFi was a huge kind of narrative back in like the last bull run, right? And it was like, okay, play to earn, play to earn, play to earn, right? All that was built on the assumption that the underlying asset, right? So, your digital sneaker, your whatever asset increased in value. But that was only based on other people trading and other people paying more in the industry. What we're building basically is a way for the token is like we're getting real fiat, we're getting real customers on board, right? We can go into that a little bit later, but they're injecting money into our ecosystem, which then we can pass on directly to our users. You can earn money from staking, you can earn money from your AI agent being sentient, and we're giving you a way to make money for the rest of your life by providing data that Facebook and Google are stealing from you, right? So why not be bullish on that?
Well said. That's a very good two very good answers. If Frankie wants to say something, he can. If not, we could go on to the next question. Or are we okay?
Frankie's actually the architect behind the digital
I can
twin.
explain something about like the question about like how the privacy is protected. So at the beginning of like this project or this protocol, so we always like bear in mind the privacy is like the topper's priority, and we make use of like the CK technology. So if we need to like explain zero knowledge, and like I guess like many people don't understand about like how it works, but I can like explain using some simple way. So basically, when user onboard on our platform, so we will like with any like anonymous wallet that the person own, the user own, and maybe like no one else know that like the user own that wallet, and we create a CK identity within our OOPZ platform, and then with that CK identity, so they can participate in survey and to show their preference or like what you want to like talk about. Like this data just tie up with your CK identity, and no one else know you talk about that. And then like after like if the surveys complete, so there will be like rewards eligible to be distributed. So we will make use of like the CK proof, which is a very like complex computational data that we could like make use of that to claim the on-chain rewards. And there's no traceability from on-chain activity of like what you have contributed.
So Frankie, sorry Frankie, so this is how the data is pretty much secured through the ZK proofs?
Yeah, and it's a part of way like how the privacy like is protected. So basically, like people like signaling, oh, I put my identity participate in this survey, and within like a CK proof, basically no one can decrypt. So you participate in this survey, and then you can claim your rewards into your doxed wallet, because when you want to like spend your like earnings out of like your digital twins, you may need a doxed wallet, and you send like stable coin. Basically, we isolate like these two, like your anonymous identity and also like your doxed wallet. Okay, that's nice. Like how the privacy is protected.
And the full name here, Frankie, since we're on this topic, just briefly, Oracles of Preferences, ZK. I don't know, anybody could answer this. The preferences part, is there like different types of ZK proofs that there's optionals or something when you say of preference, right?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all
it's just
about like yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead,
It's
Frankie.
all
No,
about
no.
like how your yeah personal view about like the user preference data.
Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Thank you so much for that technical question and answer there. So, guys, you are in the Info 5 niche, and I think when Kato came out, everybody wants to run to that, right? That's like the hot thing right now. And Kato made a badass product with AI, indexing, mindshare, latest trends, market sentiment, very key pieces of information any researcher will want to use, right? To whether invest or just do some analytics or analysis. So a lot of projects are running to this because they know that's where the interest is. I just want to ask you guys point blank: how do we know you're not just running on this train, jumping on the bandwagon, trying to chase the hype? How do we know you guys are for real
Yeah.
in the InfoFi and authentic?
Yeah, like maybe I take a first stab at that, Jay, and then you can feel free to answer, right? So, I guess for us, this kind of journey was a little serendipity. So as Jay mentioned, right, we created this company before, doing market preferences, market research, and everything else, right? And we saw that by implementing InfoFi principles, like it actually would solve everything, right? The problem is this industry, whilst large, is quite niche, so not that many people think about it. So for us, we weren't kind of going in and saying, oh, InfoFi is the hot narrative, we're going to go into it. It's actually that we built something before, and for a lot of reasons, the previous company didn't want to build the Web3 things that we wanted to build. So we were like, you know what, let's do it ourselves. And that's kind of how all of this happened, right? We had a problem, and Web3 and all the tech provided a solution. And I think like, I guess we're nerds, right? Like, I guess from a more like philosophical perspective, so I'm gonna wax poetic for a second, but from a philosophical perspective, like InfoFi really goes back to like the ethos again of Web3. Web3 is about owning your data. Web3 is about, controlling it and owning it yourself, right? So in a lot of ways, InfoFi is the way that Web3 should work. And in practice, as we see it for how we're kind of building it for OOPZ, is kind of what needs to be done, right? You need to be able to control your data. It needs to be private. It needs to be held by you. And if someone wants your information, they need to use a ZK proof and ask for your permission to get their data, right? If they're going to use it, you should get paid. And if people are going to train off your data, and then we can talk a bit about that for some of the other stuff we do. If we're gonna train on your data, like make money from that for the rest of your life, right? And if that's what we call InfoFi, that's fine. But for us, that's just what Web3 should be. You should earn. You should be in control of what your data is.
Absolutely, love it. Jason, you want to piggyback off that, or you're good?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm super excited because I've had many discussions with Tamir, like back in the day, dotted days, right? Like asking him, why are you really in Web3, right? And I mean, Frankie and Tamir are I wouldn't say biggest zealots, but I can honestly say they are not in it just for the speculation side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Owning your own data has always been something that we've talked about, that we've pushed. And it's great that InfoFi has popped off. When we built the Web2 product that was looking at market research, the entire business model was built on data, right? So we are fortunate that the InfoFi wave is being pushed this run, right? This is the main narrative. Because without it, I don't think we'd get as much of a spotlight, but we are true believers that your data you should 100% own. Just like how Anamoka or a lot of these large VCs, when they were pushing NFTs, they were saying that you would own the asset for life, right? Why give it to, especially for GameFi, why give it to Blizzard? Why give it to the guys who make Call of Duty? Why give it to centralized entities that when they close down, everything is gone, right? So 100% we believe that this is how things should be done and how it should be given back to the community, because the community is in fact the one that's putting in all the work.
Thank you so much. Now, Tamir and Jason, I noticed there's a lot of photos of you guys on Twitter, which I'll share. that I like to say. So when we went to Hong Kong last year, I made a joke, right? Because we went to network too and do those that type of stuff. And I said, hey man, we're gonna play ping pong in Hong Kong, right? Meaning that how we're gonna be networking with these guys, right? Everybody was laughing at that. But I made a tweet saying that you guys are playing ping pong in Hong Kong yourselves, and I'll bring this up over here. Honestly, this is one of my favorite memories, standing next to the CEO of one of Asia's largest central banks. That's crazy. What was this? This was with Dotted, it looks like, I believe. And also, we have this over here, Days of Being Young and Degen, throwback to when our co-founders and Tamir were invited by Asia Pioneer Entertainment Holdings Limited, a listed company in Hong Kong. So the reason why I say this is important is because you guys are actually taking the extra step further and trying to build these collaborations in the real world, right? And I think that's where a lot of other crypto Web3 people might miss the mark. Depends on what your goal is, though. So yeah, please tell us more about that. Seems like you guys are really connected in Hong Kong.
I can't
Yeah,
take
I
away
mean,
from
like,
Tamir. This is Tamir's game.
no. Like, honestly speaking, like, I it's this sounds like this sounds bad, right? It's honestly just hustling, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of life is just showing up. Like a lot of life is really just like making the effort, and it's not just you got to be there and do certain things, right? Like it's really like twofold, right? One is you need to know how to get in the room. You need to know how to make sure that you're okay in the room. You need to make sure that you're okay to get shot down hundreds of times. You need to know like how, and most importantly, you need to know how to give people what they want, right? And you need to like not some like Wolf of Wall Street shit, but like you really need to know what people want, what they actually value, how you're gonna add value to them, right? Like for the MA, right? They wanted to start to do stuff in innovation. Hong Kong was starting to be a Web3 hub, so we were like, hey, you want to do this? Actually like support, like do stuff with Web3. Like we're gonna show you how to do stuff in Web3. We're gonna educate you along the way. And I would say like, look, it's you know, you can look at those photos and they're really happy memory of mine. But like it was a year of like talking to every department in the MA, going through every line of the terms and condition, like every comma, every like period. And it's like the thing that I will say is like yeah, we have a lot of relationships, but it's like you gotta like you know, you gotta give more than you get, and you gotta really just hustle. And I think the other thing I will say is like and this is a little bit of a self brag, is like if you're gonna sell something, if you're gonna give someone value, the thing you give, the shit you give them better be good. And like frankly, the shit that Frankie built was very, very good. It was institutional grade. It worked 100% of the time. Like we were doing cutting edge tech. Like we were commercializing AI, you know, for art designs, for everything else, like before everyone started doing it, right? And it's not just that we were doing AI things like early on, like we had to basically take the AI and make it safe for corporates. That's another layer of another work, right? So even though they want to do something interesting and innovative, like you got to jump through 50 steps, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you could be a really good salesperson. You can hustle like hell, but if you're selling shit, then you're selling shit. And I think that's really a testament to Frankie on what he built. Like he's a serious guy. He builds really good shit. And yeah, like yeah, we're just really lucky. And Jay is also too modest. Like he can get in the room with anyone. He works super hard. He's a really smart guy. So I think we all just complement each other. We all just hustle like hell. And frankly speaking, like that's what you need to do to get into any room.
Yeah, it's really hard to find team members or co-founders or whatever it may be, you know, directors, whatever it is, that's actually going to put in the same amount of work as you, and then even, you know, and then some too, right? It really is, man, to find somebody like a partner, a solid partner to go throughout this journey with you. So are you guys trying to say that you're responsible for Hong Kong passing the Bitcoin ETF? Didn't they do that recently, like last year or something? Was that you guys? I'm playing.
Actually, we're like
Oh yeah, shut
yeah.
up.
Go Tamir, go for
Yeah,
it. Go for
like,
it.
yeah, like part of what I was doing at the exchange was literally talking to every person in the management to talk them about crypto products for like 2 years.
That's crazy.
I won't take credit for anything. Like, I mean, fuck, like I got tired of going to do the same
Yeah,
presentation
yeah.
to anyone that would hear me. But like, yeah, man, like when I said I like Web3, I never, even when I was doing data, like I would just spend all my nights being like, this is what, you know, this is what they're doing in Singapore. We should do this. This is what they're doing in Germany. We should do this. Like, so this is all I did for a few years. But I think building something like is a lot more meaningful. I mean, no shade to anyone, right? Building something is a lot more meaningful than giving presentations on something that might happen.
Sure. No, absolutely, absolutely.
So
Go
so
ahead.
Tamer's super modest. He's
No.
actually the reason why one of our first projects, the Hong Kong Palace Museum, like I've never seen anyone work as hard as Tamir. If anyone thinks it's easy, it's the furthest thing from easy. So to give you context, for those of you who know, crypto is banned in China. Hong Kong Palace Museum was having their opening, their grand opening. They invited um, very important dignitaries. I think Xi Jinping was there. So high level government officials. And someone from Hong Kong Palace Museum initially was like, hey, why don't we do an NFT? We give it to everyone, right? Without thinking about these crypto laws, right? So at the time, if you're minting, your wallet has no crypto inside, it's not possible. But for these high level senior Chinese government officials, they actually can't have any crypto at all. So how do you do the mint, right? And this was Frankie as well. We're one of the first ones to come up with gasless minting. And what we did was we had another wallet pay for the gas, which means that these senior Chinese officials are actually able to mint the NFT without touching crypto. So the NFT is allowed. The speculative aspect of crypto is not allowed. That's why it's banned, right? And Tamir spent hours negotiating, Frankie as well, building out the smart contract, ensuring that zero crypto would be touched, right? Because if we had messed up that project, we like to joke around about this, but it's not really a joke. If we had messed up that project, I don't think we would be around. We would disappear. We would disappear. So, I mean, this is a testament to the team.
At least you're honest. Joking. All good. This is a casual type of interview here, guys. Don't worry, conversational. Let's talk about developing on your developers, man. I know obviously Frankie's there. Do you guys have any other developers on the team currently, or is it just Frankie?
Yeah, so Frankie is the CTO. He's the main contributor, but we have a former colleague, who helps with the tech and is an audit advisor. He was ranked like I think under top 400 for Code for Arena in like all-time leaderboard. So like he's a really smart dude. He's been doing stuff in the space for a long time. He was part of like one of the first big Hong Kong startups. I'm gonna date myself, but like if you're from a certain age, you might remember 9gag. Yeah, he was like one of the first tech guys. So like we've been building with him for a while. He's helping advise us. We have like two part-time front-end devs and a UI UX guy who's kind of helping out casually on the side. But yeah, I think to be honest with you, one of the reasons why we're doing this launch and doing this raise is like as we scale, as we get some money to build. I mean, honestly, that's the most important thing to us. We want to bring them on full time and then just grow it up.
Since we're on that topic, man, I'm like, as I said, I believe like no system is perfect. I've said this many times in my live stream. No matter what you build is never going to be perfect. It could be great and good. There's always something there that, you know what I mean? Pros and cons or trade-off, right? So I love that. I think anybody that wants to be into AI Web3, I think the spot, it's virtuals. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's other great communities out there that's doing other work like BitTensor, but something about virtuals and the founders behind them too, like those guys mean business. And they're really reiterating on the fly and trying to improve their product and all kinds of things. So I love to see that from a founder. And just a community in virtuals is just the place to be. So yeah, I mean, like, why would you guys, want to choose virtuals for that matter? You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have let me go first, Jay, then you can chime in because I have a pretty strong view. So like Frankie's been super bullish on the virtual space for a long time. He's been showing us about stuff like since like November, December. He's been showing us everything that's been happening. He's been following the space for a long time. He's a true believer, and it's been really great. And I think for us, right, like some people have asked us like why go on virtuals? Why not, want raise funds from some VCs? Why are you going down this route? Like what's happening, right? And I think for us, right, like I look, there's some really smart VCs. I did it for a little while, like my friends, there's really great people. But I would say like for a lot of people, like it's not actually a VC money is not as always the rosy picture people think it is, right? A lot of them will give you money and they dump on the community. They do things like they're not really in it to help you. Some are really great, and we've had the experience, positive experience of working with some really great guys. But I would say, I've heard stories, just being in the industry, you kind of see things, people really exploiting the community. And I think, like, to be honest with you, there's one thing that we really feel of, right? Like, I mean, not to share too much or to get too like boring about it, but like, you might see my CV or something I said and think like I was from like a really, fancy background. Like I wasn't, right? Like I've kind of had to crawl to get to a lot of things that I am today. And for me, it's like, why not help out the average person, right? Like like why doesn't everyone kind of get upside, right? And I think like for us, like if you can have people that believe in you, if you can have people that support you, you can have people that talk about you, give you feedback, which being in the virtuals community, I feel like we really have. I think that's really the value at it, because these guys are supporting us and these guys are backing us and these guys are taking a chance on us. And one thing, it's a little lame to say, but like like Jay and I and Frankie, we're all like kind of nerds, so like we're not naturally really the best at like kind of presenting stuff and everything else. So we have a Telegram group where we kind of started and we were kind of sharing ideas. And there was this one guy that was starting to ask questions in the group. This guy, I think his handle is called Sovereign. He was asking some questions. I didn't know who he was. He was asking a couple of questions in the group, and he's like, "Oh, this kind of doesn't make sense," or this. He was kind of like asking us some things, and then we were sharing a bit more detail. We're kind of breaking it down. He was like, "Okay, maybe oh, this is kind of jargon. Can you explain it to me a lot more simply?" So we took the time to kind of help, like point by point, to talk things through. And he was like, "Oh, this is great. Like, thank you for explaining it to me. I really appreciate it," and stuff like that. And then like I see a little bit later, the guy tags us, and then he's like, "Hey, I actually finally fucking understand what these guys are doing. So let me break it down for you. Let me explain it to you." So he actually did a breakdown explaining, what our conversation was, which is in a Telegram group, but like it's people that are in our community. He posted it on his Twitter. He was saying, why he's bullish on us, why he thinks we're cool, why he likes us. Like, I have no idea who this guy is or girl or whoever the person is, but like, he was there. Like he also gave us feedback and like, "Hey, we know you guys are, a little bit technical, a little bit nerdy. Like, this is how I would suggest writing this. This is how I would suggest explaining this." And then at the end, he said he was super bullish on us, and he would support us and stuff. And it's like shit like that. Like, I mean, like, there's no reason why that guy has to give us feedback. There's no reason why that guy has to support us and talk about us. And like a lot of the guys in the virtual space, like, we've been really touched by how people have talked about us, how people have come out to kind of explain our product or try to learn more about us. And, that in and of itself is worth more than any money you can get. And, as we get successful, we'll try we will share it with the people that backed us, that believed in us, that talked about us. And we want those people to win. We don't just want some guy that already has hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever to just make more money. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, anyone can win on the virtuals platform. And these are people that actually care about like AI agents and shit like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I think they're solely responsible for this whole crypto AI agent hype right now. Like, and the possibilities. I shouldn't say hype, because hype is really just a big blown up balloon with nothing at its core, but this is real shit. And I think they're on the forefront of that, right? This craze here, this like, whoa, aha moment that everybody had. Oh shit, this is what AI could do in crypto. And like, back to my point there, I kind of lost my train of thought slightly there about virtuals. The reason why I bring up that no system is perfect is because I think virtuals did an amazing job in building this system, this launchpad, so to speak, with the points and the game theory. But a lot of the focus, if not all of the focus, was on the community, which, they're trying to make their people happy. But I feel as though, like, if you're having real builders such as yourself and others who are trying to build technical shit, right? Not just like a chatbot, AI agent, whatever. You're actually trying to build real shit. You're going to need funding at some point. So I don't know if you guys want to talk a bit about, AI rocket and rocket fuel. I think that just took place yesterday. It's ongoing or not. I'm not too sure. And if that's going to be helpful for you. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the Genesis launch pledging starts tomorrow, right? If I could bring that up right here so you guys would see. Sorry. Here. Right. So the Genesis launch starts tomorrow for pledging. So 22 hours and 55 minutes, guys. Come check it out. Oracle of Preferences ZK. Okay. Ticker OOPS. All right. You don't want to miss that out. So yeah, just briefly here, and we'll go on to the next question, which is about your MVP and the development. What stage you're at. Any thoughts you want to share with us of rocket fuel, and if that's helpful for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, man. Like, dude, Oxygen, AI Rocket, like, I can't express how grateful I am to the platform, the team, and a little bit riding onto the whole virtuals play and why we didn't go the VC route. When you take VC money, as Tamir mentioned, it's, and again, no shade, there's some great VCs out there. It's kind of like you're taking a toxic pill, because at the end of the day, there's going to need to be an exit. And unfortunately, a lot of times the exit is done on retail, which means that for a project, retail sometimes includes the users that come on board. So you're actually, it's a double whammy, because you're dumping on people that believe in your project, right? The difference with virtuals and the Rocket community is that we're not only able to raise funds, but we're able to get our first users. And for startups, that's one of the biggest problems. How do I get my first users? How do I understand what my users want? And the virtuals ecosystem and AI Rocket just provides that. So it becomes a no-brainer as to why we would go through this channel, because not only do we get funding, we get our first users. They come on very early on. And something that we've realized is when users come on early in the journey, they tend to be a lot more sticky. They grow with you, right? Your first 100 users, if you're able to cater to these individuals, you're very likely to figure out product market fit, because they will talk to you. They'll tell you why they like your product. They'll tell you what's not good about your product. And these are honest, genuine people. And if the incentives are aligned, then why not? That's not something you can get with VC money, right? And I cannot express how grateful I am to Oxygen, AI Rocket, to yourself, Francis, to give us this platform. This would not happen in a traditional or even a crypto VC.
Bro, I'll be honest. It's like I don't do interviews with anybody on project. There's, if you check my email right now, it's fucking spammed with a bunch of people. I don't even look at it. If you're hounding me down, chances are you're not that legit, right? But for me, I mean, maybe I got that wrong, but that's what I think. But yeah, for me, like I brought in Solus. That's they want the hackathon. You have to be docs. You have to have at least an MVP or some other credentials. If you don't have that, like the winner of hackathon, right? Of virtuals hackathon too. So that's why I brought them on, and you guys kind of like fit the bill too. So for me personally, I definitely see the value here and the seriousness as well. Knowing you guys have a tremendous amount of experience that was actually bought by a real firm, acquisition firm like Anamoka Brands, right? They're not going to buy some bullshit. So that caught my eye right off the bat. Let's get on with it, guys. So look, MVP. Where are we at right now with development? I know you have an MVP, right? Let's get to the good stuff. The phase of your development, on how long did it take to build the MVP, and what could it do? And then what could we expect after the MVP when it comes to development? Frankie or Tamir or Jason, anybody? I think.
Yeah, maybe I can take this one. Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Oh, Frankie, go for it.
Oh, Frankie, you wanted to take this one about the?
Oh, sorry, was that Frankie? I heard.
It is. No, I don't think it was Frankie. You can go ahead, Jason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. So we launched the MVP. We did a closed beta. We ran it out. We are actually in the process of taking the remarks from our early users. We're tweaking a couple of things, and we're looking to launch the open beta when the token unlocks, actually. So aligning with utility of the token. Let's speak a little bit about the platform that Frankie built out. When we were building the Web 2 product, we heard a lot of pain points that unfortunately the product we were building wasn't able to address. One of the key features was the ability to reach out to respondents. For some reason, we weren't able to do so at the time. Now, because of our background with dotted wallet-to-wallet messaging, corporates are actually able to DM to message the human behind, because that was one of the main things we realized. When you deploy a survey, you probably want to do follow-up, right? And it doesn't make sense that you're doing follow-up with randos. You probably want to follow up with the specific individual. So over MVP, we incorporated all of these elements. We're tweaking the AI to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. But in essence, we rolled out the MVP, got a couple hundred users. We were able to launch POCs with corporates in Hong Kong. Can't speak too much about it, but essentially a large casino group in Macau used us to figure out how best to market to the Southeast Asian market, because they're trying to incentivize tourists to come from outside of mainland China. And we were able to deliver these insights that they implemented, they're actually implementing right now. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Nice one. Tamir or Frankie, if I could just have a follow-up question on that. So when do you think, and obviously no specific time or date, but approximately ballpark, when do you think you guys will be full-blown going live to market with the platform like Baynet? Any indication on that? Or
Yes. Yeah, so for the MVP, like we're keeping it a little bit close in the beginning, but basically, like as Jay mentioned, like it's actually operational, right? So anyone can come on board, anyone can use us, and we expect to be fully open, like when people to come on, like just clients to find us by like mid Q3. So like it's going by very, very fast. I think for us, the main thing is how do we build features? How do we use basically, I mean, going back to a little bit of what you mentioned earlier about why we're really appreciative of rocket fuel and everything else, right? For us to really scale, like frankly speaking, it's expensive. Like it's really expensive to pay for like cloud storage. That's actually our biggest cost, right? So with a lot of the listing and everything else, the money we've gotten, that actually will enable us to scale. And the reason why we've been in MVP and why it's going to kind of rocket up in Q3 is because, with the funding that we get, just people getting on board, everyone else, that actually allows us to build those bits, right? So that's why I would say kind of full blown Q3, like Q4 at the latest, early Q4. But yeah, I think that's really the bottleneck, is really just, why we really love the Virgins community, and from a marketing perspective, from a mind share perspective, from getting involved with the community, like you can't beat Virgins. But things like Rocket, like you won't get unlocked for a few like months. Like you won't get unlocked for a month, right? And for us specifically, it's not shade on anyone. Like everyone's building great things in the ecosystem. Like everyone's doing great, right? Like. But for a solution like us, like we can't be, you can't half-ass it, right? You can't like go to, as I was saying earlier, you can't go to like a listed company and take on 10,000 clients and be like, hey, it's kind of still kind of scaling, but I need, just front pay me a certain amount so I can get my storage up to meet your requirements. So I would say like that's kind of the breakthrough, like in terms of like features and everything else. As Jay mentioned, like things are aggressively being built. We learned from our last company, you gotta be fast. Like and you don't really have the time to wait. Like you have to be super fast. So for us, like Q3, Q4 for everything else is really just getting the cloud infrastructure on board and then kind of scaling that, and then it can be offered to anyone. And by the way, when we say beta MVP, it's not like saying like it's an idea that might work. Like when we say beta, like for us, beta means clients are on board. Like like we have real listed companies, we have a kind of a backlog of people that we've worked with before that are keen to get on board. The only thing is they're waiting for us to basically scale our infrastructure.
Nice. When would the MVP be available to the public? Is that something you guys talked about? Is that scheduled or still yet to be determined? Or is it going to be available to the public or not?
Yeah, it is. We're actually looking to roll that out July 6th. If nothing, I mean, tech is one of those things that,
of course.
we aim for our sprints.
Yeah,
So we're aiming for July 6th.
Let's say
push it
by
out.
end of July.
next month,
Say by end of July.
sometime
By
next
July
month,
6th,
maybe even after. That's fair. Trust
Yeah,
me, I know
next
how it
month.
is, man. You can never put a
next
specific
month.
date on something. But yeah, I'm
Yeah,
very,
and
very.
by the end of the next month.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see how that looks. And to see you guys showcase that. Okay, the average guy, how could he make money from this? And I know you're explaining to us with his data, the ZK proofs it's secured. So if you guys, he can make money off of that by selling it to you, or you guys sell to, your clients or whatever it is. But a little bit more detail on that in a simple way. How could the average guy actually make money from this in layman terms, rather?
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe before I answer that question, maybe I take a step back and kind of explain really how
The
we
business
make
makes
money.
money. Yeah,
like,
yeah,
as a
exactly.
business. Yeah, how the business makes money, right?
Yeah.
So I think like Jay, let me cover the business making money, and then why don't you cover about how the layman can cover it, right? So the reason why I want to do this is I think that will put context in everything else, right? So basically we have two kind of business streams, right? So the first, you kind of hear us talk about it at length, right, is corporate market research, right? So we conduct, micro surveys, we leverage blockchain to improve like, the OpEx challenges that a lot of these businesses have. We then use it for payments. And then one of the things that we do is like we're using this technology allows us to kind of target what's called a blue ocean, right? So what does that mean? It means we're able to go into markets that no one else is going to. So right now in this survey market, people aren't really offering things for Southeast Asia, like Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. It's not really covered that well. People are not really offering things for North Africa, the Middle East, Gulf countries, and even Africa, right? Like there's no easy way to get this kind of data. So for us, just take out the AI agent and everything for a second. Like us basically offering services in these countries like means that people and these businesses, they want to understand and they want to expand, right? And politics and everything aside, like you can kind of see things happening. Like everyone is looking for the next growth markets, and these are the growth markets, right? So how that really works is, and with the AI agent, it means that companies use us, right? They pay us for the insights and the data, and that money then flows into our users, right? That money flows into our tokens and everything else, and that's where the capital is coming from. Like it's coming from external corporate clients, right? And that's like one element of our business. And the reason why we're doing this is because it's stable, it's reoccurring revenue, it's easy to model, and it allows us to scale very efficiently, and to us not to be it allows a very stable cash flow in terms of how you grow the business, right? What's another part of our business, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, is actually using these models to make crypto predictions better, right? So our service can be used to project what might happen and bets, right? So, for the last election, you might have heard, right, is like Donald Trump there's a guy that made a bet on Polymarket and he made like 50 million US dollars projecting that Donald Trump was going to be the winner, right? So our solution can do the same thing. And we've actually tested it, right? So we're nerds, right? So we looked at Crunchyroll, which is we looked at Crunchyroll's anime of the year, right? So basically the Oscar of anime, what was going to win, right? So we did a similar survey. We looked at how to structure the responses, and then we made a hedged bet. So we broke up like how the results were going to be, right? And like easiest way to explain it is there was anime 1, anime 2, and anime 3, right? Anime 1 was a highly projected winner. It was like 70 to 8, like almost 80%, right? But we bet on all three. It was 5 total, right? Our largest position was in anime 2, and up into the resolver date, up until like it was revealed who the winner was, it was trading at less than 20%, right? We actually correctly identified that it was anime number 2, and then we were up like about over 30% in profit, right? And this is us taking a hedge bet. So what we did was took $100 and we split it across 3 things. Even splitting it across 3 ways, the way we made the bet, we made back our principal, and we made over 30% in profit. So this is really interesting to crypto people because yes, like you have this corporate market research, and that flows money into our treasury, makes the business sustainable, makes sure that everything can operate, right? But then for the crypto guy, right, they can use this, and then they can basically stake in the platform, make bets, make decisions, and they can make alpha from that, right? And that's one of the unique kind of selling points of what we have, right? Like, yes, we talk a lot about like the market research and the stability and everything else, because frankly speaking, that's how we make sure everyone gets paid. So I'll take a pause there, and then Jay, you can talk about how that money flows in and everything else, and then how it benefits basically the average Joe.
I mean, there's not much more to add to that, right?
That
You
was in depth.
summarized it pretty in depth, right? So effectively, I mean, I can just do a recap. The streams are more on the traditional side. You create an AI twin of yourself, and that becomes a node that allows you to perpetually earn from corporates looking to get fast insights. If corporates want to reach out for further analysis, which 9 times out of 10 they will, because the analyst running it is probably using the tool to protect himself or herself. They'll reach out to the individual. That's obviously an increased cost because that's time that's being used up on both ends. And then, as Tamir alluded, the ability to use the terminal for prediction markets. Because we're gathering all of these preferences and preference data, we're able to segment, especially in different jurisdictions, different areas, to find discrepancies in different, let's say, prediction markets, right? As Tamir mentioned, anime number 1 was heavily favored, but it was anime 2 that won. And you can actually read up the case study on our Twitter. It's all there. But yeah, for the average Joe, it would effectively be creating a digital twin, passively earning through a node. First level of additional monetization is responding to corporates and their queries. And then the other leg, the more degen leg, is using the terminal for insights.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I just want to say one thing. I want to pull up this frame. Isn't it refreshing to see a doxed accomplished team for a change? Aren't you fed up of founders, Anon, with like meme coins as their freaking PFP? I am. I know I am. I know about y'all. Are we fed up of memes? Are we fed up of Anons? It's refreshing, bro. It's refreshing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm the only one showing my face on crypto Twitter sometimes, bro. Everybody that's commenting is this cartoon character. It's like, holy shit, are you guys even like real? Anyways, look, let's talk about the token's utility here. I don't know who wants to take that, but yeah, what's the utility of the token as of now?
Yeah, maybe I can take that one, and if
Sure.
I'm missing anything, the guys can jump in. So effectively, the token initially will be used to stake to create the digital twin. At our time at Dotted, we realized that as much as we want to reward everyone, there are malicious players, right? So first and foremost, the token allows the ability to create your digital twin. It's sort of like a safety net that if ever there's malicious content, malicious transactions, we're able to freeze accounts. And then for, let's say, these people that are doing so, we're able to segment it and they have skin in the game. So first and foremost, it's to create the digital twin. As time progresses, we're able to actually give back, as Tamir mentioned, real revenue back to holders. And we really want to incentivize the early adopters. So for our early token stakers, we're actually going to redistribute a portion of the revenue from these corporates back to holders. Last but not least is the access to the terminal. The terminal is the key to everything. As we scale out, the accuracy and the data that comes from this terminal will become increasingly more accurate, right? And one of the things that we wanted to look at is discrepancies between different betting platforms, right? And analyze different preferences. So when you stake a certain amount, you'll get access to our entire terminal, and that's at the highest level.
This one. Tamir, anything you want to add, or that's all?
Nah, Jay, super thorough. It's really good.
Pretty good. I'm just going to jump into the live chat over here, and we do have a question. Sorry to put you guys on the spot, but it is a good one, I think. Where is it? Sorry. Yeah. I call him Uncle Bernard. He's a long-time subscriber here. Older guy. Okay, so is our personal agent going to have a unique identifier so I can disconnect from my social security number, which I know has been leaked, just as all of my info has? Exclamation mark. He's pissed. Need a fresh start in privacy. I can repeat that again. Is our personal agent, so I guess he means the duplicate or the replicate of him, right? going to have a unique identifier so I can disconnect from my social security number. So I'm guessing he's saying that how these Web2 companies knows his social security number on his data, and they have that. Now, if he starts fresh again, right, using a different entity, this wouldn't be the case. That's how I interpret it, as at least. But anybody wants to answer that?
Sure.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure.
I answer that first, right? Yeah. I think so. One way to think about it is kind of going back to Frankie's point earlier about ZK proofs. So actually, for us, we don't custodize or hold any of your PII. So what does that mean? It's like you hold the information for, like, for example, like your personal information, like your name, your age, your sex, your college education, your salary, where you went to school, your preferences, and everything else. And then that AI agent like creates a twin of you from all that information, but you have to give it the rights to learn from you. So unlike other kind of platforms or anything else, like we actually won't we don't want to, and we won't like actually take any personal information for you. So that identity of that AI agent that you're creating is linked to you, but it's not linked to you, if that makes sense. Like it will learn about you, but it won't be like, hey, this is if it couldn't be like, hey, I'm so and so's AI agent, and I know everything about this person, and you can ask me all that questions. So it's linked to the person, but then eventually, like you can't like tie that information. And I think, and more interesting thing is then you can get the AI agent to train other AI agents, right? So then it's kind of like the DeepSeek effect, right? Instead of you training on data sets, once you get a scale of, say, people in Singapore age 18 to 34, like you can then start to train on all these people from Singapore ages 18 to 34, and then start to learn about those people. So we won't actually need that kind of personal information. It's really just anonymized data, and you hold everything. And the AI agent will be unique once you stake it and make it alive. But yeah, we won't have access to your social security card or anything like that.
I I think, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we would actually push back against that. That's something that is detrimental to us and detrimental to the end user as well. Frankie, did I cut you off? Did you want to say something?
Yeah. So basically, it's something like you hold your anonymous identity, and so we collect your preference through the anonymous identity, but we won't collect personal information out of there. But when you like want to like claim reward, and then we rely on the CK proof, so that your anonymous identity like signal something like, for example, you participate in this survey so that you could earn, and your doxed or some like of your identity, you can like claim those reward. But we never like store those like personal identifier information from your anonymous identity. So basically, this is like how your privacy is protected, and we won't ask your personal identity.
Roger that. Roger that. Love it. We are coming to the tail end of the interview, guys, but stay tuned because we got the best questions here last. And then Tamir, Jason, or Frankie, or all of them, if they wish, will give their closing statements here and last words. So, yeah, guys, what can I say, man? It's been very interesting so far. But I would love to know. We know the MVP's there approximately next month, maybe the month after, maybe the month after that. That could be available for the public. You guys are aiming for something like around Q3, maybe the end of the year, to roll things out fully. But what's past that? What's the bigger picture here for Oops? What do you guys see a year from now, or what's your bigger goals? Is what I should ask, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I can jump in on this. So this goes back to our early days at the Web2 company, right? So we realized that increasingly the world is becoming more competitive. Market research is going to play a stronger role, and with the advent of InfoFi, it just solidifies our thesis, right? So what we want to do is actually disrupt the market research industry. I think Tamir alluded to it. It's an increasingly growing industry for the reasons I mentioned before. So what we want to do is we want to be the foremost leader in APAC, MENA, and then to scale it out worldwide. No one, as we know, is implementing blockchain and AI tech to do market research. You have companies that are implementing AI. Some of our competitors we saw, of course, we do our own research. We'll play around with competitor products. They're at most that what they're implementing is the ability to create surveys with AI. No one is really looking at taking that data, creating a digital twin, and then using that to get super fast insight. So we really believe that what we're building out, like our competitors in back in the day, how they disrupted traditional market research, we are going to be doing the exact same thing, bringing disruptive technology and our expertise to this market. And Asia and actually the Middle East is a blossoming industry with so many startups, right? And for startups, one of the biggest problems is finding product market fit. So if we can actually help startups do that, and we've proven that, then I don't see why our product would not be massive, right? And then to answer your question, what we're potentially looking for is either a buyout or essentially just dominating the market with our tech.
Cool. We do have a question here from Sir PK, if you guys don't mind. So we can earn passive income and also additional earnings through side bets. By staking, right? If so, that's massive. So we can earn passive income and also make additional earnings through side bets by staking. Is that correct? What do you would like to know?
Yeah. So I think Sir PK is absolutely right. By staking, you would get access to the terminal, which at the very beginning we don't want to be making the bets for individuals. So individuals would be making the bets on their own for obvious reasons. We're providing the tools for you to make educated assumptions, right? It's not foolproof. So we're not guaranteeing insights, but effectively, 100%, you would be able to passively earn from the node and also use the terminal to gain additional insights, a leg up on everyone else, as we've proven in our case study.
Yes. Perfecto. So we have a couple of people joining now. You guys can watch the replay. We are almost finished here. Maybe Tamir, just very briefly, some closing remarks, and just tell the people once again about why you guys didn't choose VCs, because I think some people are now joining. They did do a very small raise through the community on Rocket Fuel, so I guess the community replaced the VCs in a sense, and it's a very small raise too. But yeah, maybe you could touch upon that and any other thing. Obviously, your Genesis launch pledging begins tomorrow, and you could go ahead and speak right now if you wish, Tamir.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just recap kind of what we said earlier is that, for us, look, we don't, not, this is not a blanket statement against all VCs or anybody else. Like, we're not a huge fan of the business model for VCs. And I think what Jay mentioned is, like, a lot of times what happens is, they dump on early people and everything else. And I think for us, we really want to share, the upside, our growth and everyone on with the community. And I know one of the things I talked about a little bit earlier is, there's been a lot of like love, a lot of like, sharing a lot of information about, what we're trying to build, people in the community explaining, sharing our story, trying to help us. And I think, to be honest, that's better than any VC can do for you. And, for everyone out there, I guess this is my kind of closing statement. Like, we're three guys, who have built before. We've scaled a company from nothing to, hundreds of thousands of users, and it was acquired. We worked with some of the largest corporates in the world. I mean, that's all like a bio thing, right? Like, but I would say for us, like, look, like, we are three co-founders, three friends that, really want to build something good. And, we're really grateful to anyone that's watched this video, anyone that's tweeted at us, anyone that's talking about us. We're 100% committed to building something great and transformative. And I think, going back to why we don't want to take VC money, it's really, for everyone in the community that's helping us, we want you to win with us. We want you guys to be successful. We want everyone to make money, to have this be a success. And we will try everything we have to make it a success. So yeah, we just want to appreciate how grateful I am to everyone.
That was awesome, Tamir. Jason, you want to go ahead with something, or up to you?
Again, Tamir, it's hard to follow this guy. He just says everything. But I mean, again, I don't think there's another community quite like the one here, right? On Virtuals, Francis, your community, Oxygen, AI Rocket, like I can't think of how this would be even possible in the traditional way of doing things. Like you could say Kickstarter, but then Kickstarter is limited because once the injection of capital comes in, you can really only give like merch, right? Merch, the product. How do you perpetually reward the community and especially your early adopters, right? So that everyone is aligned. I think the ability to build and to be fully transparent, we need the funds to build out the infrastructure. So the community is actually bankrolling us, right? So how do we make sure that you're taking care of us now? We want to pay that forward, hopefully 10x, 100x, right? And it's not possible without platforms like Virtuals, without people like yourself, without AI Rocket to do this, right? So I'm sure the guys feel the same way. We're extremely grateful. We're extremely blessed. And we're here to stay, right? Hopefully the community can see how passionate we are about building. And we've identified real pain points, a business model that works, that runs, and that can be exceptionally better with blockchain and AI.
Thank you, Jason. That was awesome. Frankie, some last remarks, please, if you don't mind. Anything at all.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So we are really impressed of how amazing the community is, and we hopefully welcome all the user giving feedback, and actually our platform continued like a genuine representation of the real world user with their preference contributing unbiasedly. This is why we call Oracle of Preference. So I hope everyone could continue to support us and to help us grow, and also at the same time it will helping yourself or helping all together to win together. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, guys, what can I say? That wraps up the live stream interview. We got the Docs team, the Accomplished team, the MVP Ready team here. They want to protect your data. And guess what? We got the Genesis launch going live tomorrow, guys. Pledges starts in 22 hours and 22 minutes. And you guys know what happened the last time we had a team on the channel. You know how well that performed. I expect really good things here from these guys. I got a good bullshit detector, and it's not popping off. So I like what I hear. I like what I see. And tomorrow is your chance to get in at the cheapest price, right? Through the Virgins. And AI Rocket, that's a little bit more expensive price there. But nonetheless, the cheapest price possible. Get your Virgin points ready, because I think this one's going to be a banger. You guys know how we do it. Once again, guys, thank you so much for coming on the program. And we wish you guys nothing but luck tomorrow and in the future.
Thanks, Francis.
Thanks so much, Francis. Seriously.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us too here, the viewers. And until the next one, your ass is on your own, bro. Later.